My cheating wife stayed with her affair partner for 3 years, guess it was worth betraying me. Hey Reddit. 3 years ago, I was just a normal guy. I had a stable job, a cozy home, and what I thought was a solid marriage. My wife, Anna, and I had been together for nearly a decade. We met in college, built a life together, and I genuinely believed we were happy. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any couple, but I never once thought she'd be capable of doing what she did. I was a fool. The signs were there, I just refused to see them. The late-night work meetings, the sudden interest in going to the gym, the way she started guarding her phone like it held nuclear launch codes. But I trusted her. That was my biggest mistake. The truth came out in the ugliest way possible. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't playing detective. No, the universe decided to rip the blinders off my eyes in the most humiliating way imaginable. One night, Anna was out late, again. I was home alone, scrolling through my phone, when a message popped up in our neighborhood group chat. It was from a guy I barely knew, but his words made my blood run cold. Hey, just a heads up, I saw Anna at, local hotel name, with some guy tonight. Thought you should know. My heart stopped. My hands shook. I reread the message over and over, hoping I had misread it. But there was no mistake. Someone had seen my wife, my faithful, loving wife, sneaking around with another man. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at my phone, but eventually, anger overtook shock. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to the hotel. I don't even remember the drive, only the way my heart pounded in my chest, the way my vision blurred with rage. When I got there, I didn't storm in like some action movie hero. No, I just waited. I parked outside, watching the entrance like a predator stalking its prey. And then I saw them. She walked out first, laughing at something he said. And then he followed, some smug-looking guy I had never seen before. My stomach churned as I watched them, the way she clung to his arm, the way she looked at him like he was her entire world. A look she hadn't given me in years. They didn't even notice me as I sat there, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I could have confronted them right then and there, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the shock. Maybe it was the sheer disbelief that this was actually happening. Instead, I drove home in a daze, my mind racing with every possible explanation. But deep down, I knew. I knew what I had just witnessed, and there was no talking my way out of it. When she finally came home, I was waiting. She barely had time to take off her shoes before I hit her with the question. Where were you tonight? Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second before she forced a smile. Work ran late, and I grabbed dinner with some coworkers. Why? I felt sick. Even caught red-handed, she still had the audacity to lie to my face. I pulled out my phone, opened the group chat, and showed her the message. Her face drained of color. What's this? I asked, my voice eerily calm. Because I was just at that hotel, and I saw you. So, try again. She stammered, tried to come up with an excuse, but it was over. She knew it. I knew it. And when I pressed further, she finally broke. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. It just happened. That's the excuse, right? The classic line cheaters use to justify their selfishness. It just happened. Like she tripped and fell into bed with another man. But the worst part? She wasn't sorry. Oh, she apologized, sure, but not for the affair. She was sorry she got caught. That night, she packed a bag and left. Not because I kicked her out, but because she wanted to be with him. Just like that, nearly a decade together meant nothing. She chose him. I remember sitting in the dark after she left, surrounded by the ghosts of our life together. Wedding photos, anniversary gifts, little reminders of a love that never truly existed. I felt hollow. I felt like a fool. And I felt angry. Not just at her, but at myself. For not seeing it sooner. For loving someone who had no problem throwing me away like yesterday's trash. The months that followed were hell. The divorce was messy, not because we had kids or huge assets to fight over, but because she made it messy. She wanted to drag things out, make me suffer, probably to justify what she had done. But I wasn't going to let her win. I fought back, got a good lawyer, and made sure she walked away with as little as possible. And when the papers were finally signed, I thought I'd feel relief. I didn't. Because she was still out there, playing happy family with the man she blew up our marriage for. At first, I told myself it wouldn't last. Affairs built on lies never do, right? But here we are, 3 years later, and they're still together. And that fact eats away at me more than I'd like to admit. Because in some twisted way, it almost justifies what she did. If they had crashed and burned, if she had come crawling back, begging for forgiveness, maybe I could have found some closure. But no. Instead, they get to be happy, while I'm the one who had to rebuild my life from scratch. I won't lie and say I've fully moved on. I still think about it. About her. About the betrayal. About the life that was stolen from me. I date, sure, but trust? That's another story. Every relationship feels like walking on a tightrope, waiting for the inevitable betrayal. It's exhausting. And I hate that she did this to me. That she changed me. That her actions still have a grip on my life, even years later. And the worst part? I recently found out they got engaged. Yeah. The woman who swore she loved me, who vowed to be faithful until death do us part, is now planning a wedding with the man she cheated on me with. And that news sent me spiraling all over again. Because it makes me wonder, was it all worth it? Did she ever love me? Or was I just a stepping stone to her real happiness? I thought I was done feeling anything for her, but this? This reopened wounds I thought had healed. And now, I'm left wondering. Do I reach out? Do I say something? Or do I just let it go? Because part of me still wants answers. Part of me still wants to know why. But maybe the real question is, would the truth even change anything? I don't know what to do. But I do know one thing, this chapter isn't over yet. Update, I wasn't expecting to come back with an update so soon, but life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. After finding out my ex and her affair partner were engaged, I went through a whirlwind of emotions. Anger, frustration, and a sickening sense of betrayal all over again. I had spent 3 years trying to heal, trying to move forward, only to be slapped in the face with the reality that she had moved on effortlessly while I was still carrying the weight of her choices. I tried to push it out of my mind, but curiosity got the best of me. Against my better judgment, I did something I hadn't done in years. I looked her up on social media. Her profile was private, but the profile picture told me everything I needed to know. It was the two of them, all smiles, with her flaunting an engagement ring. The comments were filled with congratulations, people gushing about how perfect they were together. It made me sick. But what really got to me was seeing mutual friends commenting like nothing ever happened. These were people who had known us as a couple, people who had comforted me when my world fell apart. And here they were, celebrating the very thing that had destroyed me. I tried to let it go, but then something unexpected happened. One of those mutual friends, Jake, reached out to me. He had been one of the few who stuck by my side after the divorce, but we had lost touch over the years. He sent a simple message, "Hey, man, long time no talk. We need to catch up. There's something you should know." That was it. No details, nothing to hint at what he wanted to tell me. My mind raced with possibilities. Was it about her? About them? Did she finally get what she deserved? I agreed to meet up, and the moment I saw Jake, I knew whatever he had to say wasn't good. We sat down, and he hesitated before finally speaking. "Look, I wasn't sure if I should tell you this, but you deserve to know. Anna's fiancé? He's been cheating on her." I almost laughed. The irony was too much. The man she destroyed our marriage for was now doing the same thing to her. Jake explained that he had seen the guy out with another woman multiple times. At first, he thought it was nothing, but then he saw them kissing. The worst part? It had been going on for months. She had no idea. Or maybe she did and was just ignoring it the way I had once ignored the signs in our marriage. Either way, the karma I had been waiting for had finally arrived. For the first time in years, I felt something other than anger and resentment. I felt vindicated. But it also raised a question: should I tell her? Should I warn her, let her know she was being played just like she had played me? Or should I let her find out the hard way? Part of me wanted her to suffer the same way I had, to feel the pain of betrayal. But another part of me wondered if it was even my place anymore. Another update. I sat on the information for a while, torn between wanting to expose the truth and simply letting her reap what she had sown. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized I didn't owe her anything. She hadn't cared about me when she was sneaking around behind my back, so why should I care about her now? Still, I couldn't shake the thought of how smug she had been all these years, parading around as if she had won some grand prize when, in reality, she had just set herself up for the same downfall. I decided to do nothing. I wasn't going to be the one to tell her. If she was too blind to see the signs, then that was her problem. But as fate would have it, she didn't stay in the dark for long. A couple of weeks after Jake told me the truth, I got another message from him. "Dude. She found out. Apparently, she had walked in on her fiancé with the other woman. And just like that, her perfect little fairy tale came crashing down. The engagement was off. The wedding plans? Cancelled. And the best part? The guy didn't even try to fight for her. He just shrugged, packed a bag, and left. Just like she had done to me 3 years ago. Jake told me she was a mess. Crying, lashing out, even trying to blame the other woman instead of accepting that this was exactly what she had done to me. And for a moment, I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. Not because I enjoyed seeing her in pain, but because she finally understood. She finally knew what it felt like to be discarded, to be nothing more than a temporary option. The woman who had shattered my life was now standing in the wreckage of her own choices, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I thought that would be the end of it. That I could finally close this chapter and move on for good. But then something happened that I never saw coming. Anna reached out to me. Final update. I never expected to hear from her again, and honestly, I wasn't sure I even wanted to. But when her name popped up on my phone, I couldn't help but stare at the screen, debating whether to answer. Curiosity won out, and I picked up. She sounded different. Not the confident, self-assured woman who had once looked me in the eye and told me she was leaving me for someone better. No, this version of Anna sounded broken. I don't even know why I'm calling, she admitted after a long silence. I just wanted to talk to someone who understands. I almost laughed at the irony. She wanted sympathy from the very person she had destroyed. But against my better judgment, I listened. She poured her heart out, going on about how betrayed she felt, how she had given everything to this guy only to be tossed aside like she was nothing. And for the first time, she acknowledged what she had done to me. I get it now, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I get what I did to you. And I'm so sorry. I should have felt something. Anger, relief, closure, anything. But all I felt was emptiness. Her apology, no matter how genuine, was years too late. I had already suffered, already gone through the worst of it. Nothing she said could change the past. She hesitated before asking the question I knew was coming. Do you think there's any way we could try again? I almost dropped my phone. The audacity. After everything she put me through, after years of watching her live a life she tore me out of, she had the nerve to ask if we could go back. As if the past 3 years had been nothing more than a bad dream. I took a deep breath and gave her the only answer she deserved. No, Anna. There's nothing left between us. I've moved on. And for the first time, I realized it was true. I had moved on. I didn't need revenge, I didn't need closure, I had already won. Because while she was stuck in the wreckage of her choices, I was finally free. And that was worth more than any apology. This is the last time I'll ever think about her. Because for the first time in a long time, my past doesn't haunt me anymore. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't getting even, it's moving on, knowing that the person who hurt you will eventually face the consequences of their own choices.